Okay. Good evening, everybody. We'll call this meeting to order. Diana, can you do a roll call, please?
Your worship, I can confirm that I, Deputy Clerk Diana Wilson, am in attendance at the Township Office. For those participating by video conference, please answer present when your name is called. Mayor Manal,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Jaguar,
Present.
Councillor Woodner,
Present.
Councillor Moore,
Present.
Councillor Cerna,
Present.
Councillor Lewis,
Present.
Councillor Galinsky,
Present.
Chief Administrative Officer Clerk Michelle Casavecchia Summers,
Present.
Director of Fire and Emergency Services Brent Smith,
Present.
Director of Physical Services Matt Sweetland,
Present.
Director of of Development Services Adam Betteridge,
Present.
Director of Finance Arun Mohili,
Present.
Manager of IT Cecil Coxon,
Present.
Drainage Superintendent Bob Lopez.
Present.
That's everyone.
Thanks, Dana. Next, we got disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof.
Yeah, I have a couple if I could.
Go ahead, Mark.
Item D2, the Charlton Drain, and E2, McIntyre Drain.
Okay, so noted. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Now, the minutes from January 21st, was there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, mover and seconder for the minutes, please.
No, I'll move it.
Moved by Cerna, seconder. Moore, all in favor.
Councillor Woodner,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Cerna,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Galinsky, Deputy Mayor Jaguar,
Yes.
Mayor Manal,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. Next, we have the Charlton Drain, and I believe, Mike, you're here. I think you're still muted, Mike.
Yes, I am.
Okay. This is the Charlton Drain, and Mike, can you give us an outline of the nature of the proposed work, please?
Sure. This report was prepared in accordance with sections 4 and 78 for both repair and improvement to the existing drain, as well as extension of one of the branches across the road to service some properties on the other side of the road. The original drain was constructed in 1971 and is shallow in some places and undersized by today's standards. And it was requested by the landowners that we replace the lower portion of the main drain and replace the branch and then abandon the upper portion of the main drain. There will be some new catch basins and road crossings installed at the road crossings, both to allow surface water and air into the system. And I would stop and open up to questions.
Okay, thank you. Diana, was there any submissions or comments?
Your worship, no comments were received.
Okay, any questions from council? I don't think there's anybody in the audience on this drain. So Mike, can you, what's the next steps?
The next step would be to schedule the quarter revision and then after that, tender the project out.
Okay, thank you. I need a mover and a seconder. The engineer's report for the J.A. Charlton Drain 2020 prepared by Streets Associated, date November 25th, 2020 be accepted. And that bylaw number 21-12 being a bylaw to provide for the J.A. Charlton Drain drainage works be read a first and second time and provisionally adopted. Mover and seconder, Lewis and Galinsky, all in favor?
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Cerna,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Galinsky, Deputy Mayor Jaguar,
Yes.
Mayor Manal,
Yes.
carried.
Thank you. And once again, mover and seconder, the quarter revision for the J.A. Charlton Drain 2020 be scheduled to be held on March 4th, 21 at 7:30. So a new mover and seconder of that, please.
No, I'll move.
Cerna,
Jagger, I'll second.
Jagger, all in favor?
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jagger,
Yes.
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. And finally, one more, mover and seconder, the tenders for the construction of the J.A. Charlton Drain 2020 be requested for February 25th, 2021 at 11 a.m.
Move it.
Moved by Moore, seconder,
I'll second it.
Cerna, all in favor?
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky, Deputy Mayor Jagger,
Yes.
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. Next, we have a public meeting, so I need a mover and seconder of the public meeting concerning the zoning bylaw amendment application of Gregory Max Underhill relating to the property located lot 25, concession 2 be called to order at 7:35. Mover and seconder.
Move it.
I'll move.
Moved by Lewis, seconded by Glinski, all in favor?
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jagger,
Yes.
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. Purpose of the public meeting is to change the zoning from the special agricultural A2 zone to small lot agricultural A4 zone. The applicant is Gregory Max Underhill, part lot 25, concession 2, Township of Malahide, known as 5031 Sawmill Road. Diana, can you advise and confirm the method and date of notice, please?
Your worship, notice of the meeting was given in the prescribed manner by publication in the Elmer Express on January 13th and the 20th. In addition, affected property owners within 120 meters were sent a notice by prepaid first-class mail posted 20 days prior to the meeting.
Thank you. Adam, can you give us an overview and any comments received, please?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Yes, this is the required zoning bylaw amendment for an associated severance of a surplus farm dwelling that has gone through the county's land division committee in recent months, and is subject to a number of conditions, one of which is this zoning bylaw amendment. So I have kept my report short, and I'll keep my presentation tonight short also because council has already seen this through the severance review process. And it's been deemed a suitable severance of a surplus farm severance, and it's in front of us tonight for the required zoning bylaw amendment. So the criteria that's required for this zoning bylaw amendment is to zone the severed surplus lot to permit only such uses as residential uses and a handful of accessory uses to a residence, as well as the retained farmland to be prohibitive to the establishment of any new farm dwelling. The retained farmland is already zoned in that prohibitive zone, so that's not being changed tonight, but the severed dwelling lot is. This has gone through, as Diana had mentioned, the notice period, and there's been no comments received to date, except for the Catfish Creek Conservation Authority notifying that they have no concerns to the application.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Any questions for Adam on this one? Seeing none, mover and seconder, the public meeting related to zoning bylaw amendment application of Gregory Max Underhill relating to property located at lot 25, concession 2, be adjourned and council reconvene at 7:40. Mover and seconder, please.
Move it.
Moved by Moore, seconder,
Jagger.
Jagger, all in favor?
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky, Deputy Mayor Jagger,
Yes.
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. Now, in regard to this application, mover and seconder report number DS 2108 entitled zoning bylaw amendment application of Gregory Underhill be received, and zoning bylaw amendment application of David Rowe on behalf of Gregory Underhill relating the property located at concession 2, East Part Lot 25 of Malahide, and known as 5031 Sawmill Road be approved for the reasons set out in this report. Mover and seconder,
Move it. I'll move it.
moved by Cerna, seconder. Lewis, all in
Yeah.
favor?
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky, Deputy Mayor Jiguer,
yes,
Mayor Manal,
Yes.
carried.
And finally, mover and seconder bylaw number 21-11 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1822 insofar as it relates to the property owned by Greg Underhill, Max Underhill, and located at lot 25 concession 2, begin a first, second, third reading, properly signed and sealed.
Move it.
Moved by Moore, seconder
Second it.
Lewis, all in favor.
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jiguer,
yes,
Mayor Manal,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. Next, we've got the emergency or the Director of Fire Emergency Services for our 2020 year-end report. Brent?
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Just have before you this evening the 2020 year-end review report for Malahide Fire Services. I think one of the key things to point out is we are down in the area of about 74 calls year over year from 2019. What the effect of COVID is on that, I'm unsure, but we did also adjust our modified tiered response agreement with Elgin and St. Thomas EMS. So that could also be a contributing factor to some of the lower numbers as well. Obviously, our revenue is down drastically as well due to the fact that the Ontario Police College has shortened their course considerably and taken out at least our portion, our contribution to the basic cadet program, as well as no filling of bottles due to the fact that they ran no courses other than just the basic cadet program this year. Other than that, I don't think that there's a whole lot. Our fire losses were significant this year, but that's attributable to probably about 3 significant events. Otherwise, everything else seems to be sort of in line to the year over year statistics. So I would be happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you, Brent. Brent, do you see the police college coming back to their normal participation once this COVID's behind us?
I do. They have. I have spoke to the chief instructor and one other instructor at the college, and they miss having our portion. They believe it's very valuable and information necessary for the cadets to have prior to going back to their home services. So I do believe it will, whether or not. So their intakes are January, May, and September. Whether or not we will be back in line for May, I'm not sure, but we certainly hope to be back there doing our part in September.
Okay, thanks, Brent. Questions for Brent?
Just have one if I could.
Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Brent. Brent, on page 41, you've got total incident hours and staff hours, but the total of all firefighter hours spent at these incidents is 5,700 hours. That's a lot of dedication, a lot of time put in. So they should all be thanked for that, because when you put it in those terms, that's a lot. So
Yeah, I mean, in the incident hours themselves, but then you have to account for all the people on scene and the amount of hours that they certainly spend at those incidents. And, you know, certainly some of those incidents ran for days, our involvement. So yeah, always commend our firefighters for their dedication.
thank you.
Any other questions for Brent? Seeing none, mover and second, report number F2103 entitled Malahide Fire and Emergency Services 2020 year-end report be received.
I'll move it.
Moved by Galinsky, seconder
Second it.
by Widner, all in favor.
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jiguer,
yes,
Mayor Manal,
Yes,
carried.
thank you.
Thank you.
Matt, you're doing the Catfish Creek clean out?
Yes, that's correct. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. The first report I have for you this evening does relate to the tender results for the Catfish Creek drain cleanout. So a request for drain maintenance was prior submitted by a landowner assessed on the drain at Whitaker Road. And after field investigation, it was determined that a bottom clean out and removal of an old farm crossing is required. So staff prepared tender documents for the work and did receive 2 very close bids, the lowest being from Cassidy Construction in the amount of $16,040. I do have to say that I'm very pleased when the township receives bids this close together, which does show the honesty and the good value that our local contractors give us. And so that being said, staff are satisfied that Cassidy Construction can complete the task in question and recommend that this contract be awarded to them.
Okay, thanks, Brent. Questions for Brent on the Catfish Creek cleanout? Seeing none, mover and second report number PW 2102 entitled Tender Results Catfish Creek Cleanout be received. And the tender of the Catfish Creek cleanout be awarded to Cassidy Construction London Limited in the amount of $16,040 exclusive HST.
Move it.
Moved by mover, seconder,
I'll second it.
Cerna, all in favor?
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jiguer,
yes,
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
And Matt, go ahead, Rick.
if I might add, I think Catfish Creek itself got assessed $1,700 for our small portion of this drain. So I just wanted to say that probably more than justifies our 3% levy increase.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Matt, you're going to comment on the McIntyre drain?
Correct. So through you, your worship, this next report relates to drainage improvements petition that the township received by a landowner on York Line. During construction of a new building on the property, it was discovered that footings were constructed over a portion of the drain. And accordingly, the landowner has petitioned to have the drain relocated at their expense. And staff is recommending that Street Associates be appointed to prepare the engineer's report.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Questions for Matt on this one?
Mr. Mayor?
Dominic?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Matt. I'm just curious, through the building permit process, do you not get the location of drains? Like how does the process work? Or how can this be avoided in the future?
So through your worship, that you are correct that would be investigated in the building permit process. However, during an inspection of when the building was being erected, the landowner had, or the permitter had moved the location of the building that wasn't, so it was not being built in accordance with the plan. So rather than issuing a stop work order, the drainage superintendent and building inspector were able to work things out so that the drain could be removed at that time and construction could continue, providing that this petition went through. So yes, you're correct that that's it wouldn't be a typical process and that these things are taken care of.
Okay, that makes more sense. Thanks.
Any other questions for Matt? Mover and second report number PW 2110 entitled Request for Drain Improvement McIntyre Portion be received, and that John M. Spreet Engineering and Spreet Associates be appointed to prepare an engineer's report for this petition.
I'll move it.
Cerna, Lewis, all in favor?
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jiguer,
Yes,
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. And outdoor parking, who's doing that? Are you, Matt, or Adam?
Your worship. So as council is aware, there have been previous instances where council has received complaints pertaining to the parking of transport trucks on residentially zoned properties here in Malahide. And through council's consideration of these complaints, it passed a resolution in September of 2019 directing planning staff to initiate a general amendment to the zoning bylaw that would permit limited outdoor parking of commercial vehicles, specifically transport trucks in residential zones. In my report, I have attempted to provide council with the current zoning context for transport trucks and commercial vehicles in general, and how they are permitted to be parked on residentially zoned properties here in Malahide. I've also provided a comprehensive list of various other rural municipalities here in Elgin County, as well as other similar municipalities in southwestern Ontario. I do note that I've provided council with a rather extensive list of municipalities in the attached jurisdictional scan, and I haven't done this to bore the reader, but rather to ensure council has a comprehensive list to see how these vehicles are regulated in other jurisdictions. I am aware that council in its previous considerations on this matter was made aware of one municipality, being the municipality of North Perth, which includes Listowel, as one municipality that does permit the parking of one transport truck on a property in a residential zone. And as the scan shows, however, North Perth remains the sole municipality that permits this. I would note to council this evening that permitting such to occur in a similar manner as North Perth wouldn't solve the problem entirely. Our township could continue to receive complaints regardless of what our zoning might allow or say. Also in my report, I have provided council with the various tools such as the variance and site plan processes, which can be used to assess the suitability of someone looking to park their own transport truck on their property. And these are tools that already exist. And when considering the cost of the various planning application processes, it may be cheaper than the cost of renting other property to store their truck. So this does provide flexibility already. As I've provided in my report to you this evening, it is my opinion that these tools will allow council to review transport trucks on a site-by-site basis when such is proposed by a property owner, and will ensure that interests of the township, particularly ensuring that the enjoyment of the neighbors' properties are respected with no adverse impacts being caused. I know the report is rather lengthy this evening, but I've done so to ensure a complete picture is given. And I would like to highlight that my report does not constitute a public meeting. No changes to the zoning bylaw are being made tonight or are recommended to be made. Notwithstanding, if council indeed desires to make changes to the zoning bylaw to permit limited outdoor parking of transport trucks, I have provided optional zoning regulations that council could utilize. If this is the desired approach of council, these regulations will need to be finalized with direction then given to staff to schedule a statutory public meeting in order to move forward with changes to the zoning bylaw. But again, I do think our current zoning requirements for transport trucks are appropriate and satisfactory and do already provide added flexibility than that of many other municipalities. So as I provide in the conclusion of my report, transport trucks are known to cause impacts to neighborhood character and can pose a nuisance to neighbors and other sensitive land uses, especially with regard to idling. So where appropriate, buildings that are large enough to store a transport truck can mitigate these impacts appropriately, and council can utilize the minor variance zoning bylaw amendment and site plan approval processes to ensure such buildings are appropriately established. I will end my summary there, but I am able to answer any questions that council may have.
Okay, thanks, Adam, and I agree with your approach. Any questions for Adam?
Mayor Manel, I have one question.
Go ahead, Jess.
On page 60, part D, it states idling for an extended period of time. Did we not pass a bylaw that states how long they can idle?
We did. The intent of that provision in the zoning bylaw is to allow a short delivery vehicle to drop something off, deliver the goods, and then proceed. But that's the intent of that bylaw, is to allow a delivery truck to make a delivery, leave the truck running, and then carry on. Yeah.
Is that this particular bylaw, or is it the previous one?
Through you, your worship, council recently passed a new anti-idling bylaw, so separate from the zoning bylaw.
With a definite time limit, right?
Yes, I believe it. Through your worship, and Michelle, please. I believe it was seven minutes.
7 minutes, yeah.
Minutes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Adam? There's a recommendation before you, the report number DS 2109 entitled Outdoor Parking Transport Trucks Residential Zones be received. current zoning bylaw regulation of the parking of commercial vehicles in residential zones be maintained for the reasons set out in this report. And the council consider requests for outdoor parking of transport trucks in residential zones on a case-by-case basis in accordance with the Planning Act, RSO 1990. Mover and seconder. Moved by Lewis, seconder
I'll second it.
by Widner, all in favor.
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Jiguer,
yes,
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. Next we'll go on to the Springfield Lioness being name change. Michelle?
Yes, your worship. The first report I have for council's consideration this evening is with respect to the renaming of the Springfield Lioness Club to Springfield Swans. Council will recall last year before Christmas, council was advised that the Lioness group was going to be branching off from Lions Club International and was going to be rebranding itself. We've now been advised that the new name will be Springfield Swans. And in order to ensure that they're still eligible for funding under our policy for founding organizations for related to use of Malahide Community Place and South Dorchester Community Hall, the policy needs to be updated to reflect the new name. So there is a recommendation that the policy be adjusted effective June 1st when the new name of Springfield Swans will come into effect.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. And just as a background, I know that there's been a fighting match between the Lioness and Lions International, and they wanted them all to become one. And so I think a lot of the Lioness have decided to go on their own. And certainly the Springfield Lioness Club is going to be a great contributor to our township over the last number of years. And certainly I expect that the Swans will carry on that tradition. Questions for Michelle? Seeing none. Report number CAO 2101 entitled Springfield Lioness be renamed to Springfield Swans be received, and the policy for the founding organization be updated effective June 1st, 2021 to reflect the change in the name of the Springfield Lioness Club to Springfield Swans Club.
Move it.
Moved by Moore, seconder Galinsky, all in favor.
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yeah.
Counselor Galinsky,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Jiguer,
yes,
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. And Michelle, complaint protocol you're doing now?
Yes, your worship. The second report I have for council's consideration this evening is my annual report with respect to the formal complaint protocol, which has been adopted by the township. It's my responsibility each year to report to council on all formal complaints that we've received and on the disposition of those complaints as necessary. So in 2020, we did have two formal complaints. The first one was with respect to stormwater runoff and localized flooding. Upon investigation, it was determined that the issue did not fall within the jurisdiction of township staff and no corrective actions were deemed necessary as a result. The second complaint was related to building code and zoning bylaw enforcement activities. And it was determined that while the complaint had suggested that township staff were not responding to bylaw enforcement issues, staff were actually following existing enforcement protocols. As a result of a staffing shortage during 2020, there was a slight delay in addressing those enforcement matters, but the situation has now been resolved and there were no additional corrective actions that were necessary. And that's the completion of my report, your worship.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. Questions for Michelle on her report? Seeing none, mover and second report number CAO 20-02 entitled Complaint Protocol Annual Report be received.
I'll move it.
Moved by Lewis, second by Jiguer. All in favor?
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Galinsky,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Jiguer,
yes,
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. And compressed work week, Michelle?
Yes, your worship. The last report I have for council's consideration is with respect to a proposed amendment to one of our human resources policies relating to compressed work week. The municipality has had a policy in place for many years, which currently allows the reception staff to extend their workday by 30 minutes each day, resulting in an accumulation of time, and that after an accumulation of 3 weeks, they're permitted to take one additional day off to make up for that extra hour over the course of that that extra half hour over the course of the 3-week period. What is being suggested is that we look at allowing additional staff that same opportunity or flexibility to allow them to adjust their work schedule accordingly. It's an opportunity to be able to help with work-life balance, and we have been able to determine through our staff and the staff's flexibility actually over the last year as a result of COVID, that it's been working very well, and staff have been very conscientious and managed their time well. And the request from a couple of additional administrative staff to have this flexibility is not seen as to hamper any ongoing operations or any availability or response times that are being proposed. So with that, your worship, our recommendation is that we extend the policy to allow for additional administrative staff that would meet the requirements that are attached in the updated policy. And staff are recommending that that be approved.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. Questions for Michelle on the compressed work week?
I have one.
Go ahead, Rick.
Thank you. You talk about people that work a 40-hour work week as opposed to a 35-hour work week. Where's the distinction there?
There
Like,
are
who
some,
works 40-hour week?
sorry, there are some municipal staff that are 35 and some are 40. So for example, the staff that typically work outside primarily in the public works department. So Ryan DeSutter, for example, is still considered to be administrative staff, but he works 40 hours a week. Bob Lopez also. So there are a number of the public works staff that work 40 hours, where the internal admin staff typically only work 35 hours a week. So this would only apply because the 40-hour individuals are already working that extended time frame already. So this policy would only apply to those that would be working 35 hours a week, where their normal work week would be 35. Working that additional half hour would allow them to be able to make use of this policy.
Okay.
Any other questions for Michelle?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Dominic.
Thank you. Just a clarification. I think item number 5 says that the days off must be taken within the next 3-week period. So what happens if they're not taken? So is it automatically gone? Because I noticed that number 9 also talks about it can't be carried over or paid out unless approved. So can you expand just a little bit?
Yeah, and the understanding, the expectation is that these wouldn't be becoming a bank time that would be allowed for an extended period, right? The intention is that you work those additional hours and you take it off immediately thereafter, like within that 3-week time frame. There is no carry forward. There is no, if for whatever reason it isn't able to be taken, it essentially is just lost. But the staff and the managers are all very familiar with this policy and how works. So my understanding is that it hasn't been a situation where it hasn't been able to be taken off. Everyone is, like I said, is very conscientious and understands the benefits of having this policy, and also ensuring that they follow the parameters, both the supervisors as well as the staff that are utilizing the policy.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions for Michelle? Seeing none, mover and seconder, revised HR policy C1-3 entitled compressed work week be approved, and municipal staff be requested to notify eligible staff of the opportunity to opt in to a compressed work week schedule.
Jagger, I'll move.
Moved by Jagger, seconder
Second.
Moore, all in favor.
Councillor Widner,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Cerna,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Galinsky,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jaguar,
Yes.
Mayor Manel,
Yes.
carried.
Thank you. Next, we have correspondence. Number 7, Brent, can you comment on number 7 regarding the fire college?
Yes, I can, your worship. Unfortunately, there was a zone meeting for the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs today that I wasn't able to get onto. But really, I think the belief is that the province has come forward with the closing of the college, and their proposal rather is to have 20 regional training centers spread out across the province to make it easier for both full-time and volunteer firefighters to receive their training. Unfortunately, there has been no roadmap laid out as to where these training centers will be, how they will work, if there's going to be any sort of provincial funding. So obviously, the fear of most fire chiefs is that the cost of training our firefighters is going to be considerably more than what it is now. We're in a very fortunate position in the partnership we have with a couple other municipalities that we literally can deliver and certify all our own firefighters within either our facilities or our neighboring facilities. So it doesn't have any immediate effect on us, but I certainly can see with the closure of the college and no clear direction from the province on where these regional training facilities may be, that it could leave an awful lot of departments exposed and unable to get their training without sending their folks away to, for instance, one of them is called FESTI, the Fire and Emergency Services Training Institute, which is in Toronto by the Toronto Airport. So as you can imagine, the cost of a hotel and meals and paying them and paying the course would greatly exceed what it costs now, as far as the $65 it costs the municipality to utilize the Ontario Fire College. So unfortunately, there's not an awful lot of information. The plan could be very good, but there really hasn't been a roadmap set out by the province and the fire marshal.
So have you got a recommendation for number 7?
I would support it.
I think we can add on that until we have further information.
I believe so. That would be my thought. And again, there may be further information coming that will make this considerably more palatable for municipalities, but at this point, it is really truly unknown.
Okay. So I'm suggesting support for number 7 until we get some more information. Anyone else wish to comment or support any of the other ones?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Mark or Max.
I'd like to support number 8, Southwest Oxford photo radar.
I know we talked about that with Michelle, and apparently we have got the option already to do that.
They showed on it, probably everyone saw it on the news the other evening out there to west of Woodstock through there, the problems are having, and we're having the same problems in Springfield as they are in many other municipalities and places in the country. So that's why I would like to support it, or if we've already done so, so be it.
Well, Michelle, can you just expand on that? My understanding when we talked, we already have that ability.
Yes, your worship. And actually, the Director of Public Works has reviewed this in more detail. So I'll defer to him to provide council with some more additional input, if that's okay.
Matt?
Yes, through you, your worship. So that's correct that the Highway Traffic Act does allow municipalities to enforce speed through photo radar, but it's only in school and community safety zones with speed limits of less than 80 kilometers an hour. The purpose of that is that it recognizes that those are areas of concern that have already been designated due to some outlying factor. So council may recall that we discussed this program prior as well, that it is a very expensive program, and there are currently large cities in the province that are piloting the program, and I'm sure that data will be forthcoming regarding how effective these programs are or not, but it hasn't been widely rolled out yet. But that being said, there is the ability to do so.
Is that sufficient information, Max?
Whatever works, but we gotta do something, or something has to be done, or it's getting worse every day. I know here in the village of Springfield, I'm sure it is everywhere else, so. Thank you.
Okay.
And
Any
if
other,
if I might add,
go ahead, Rick.
I've said this many a time that the speed limit sign means nothing unless you get enforcement. And that's what we need. We need speed traps out there once in a while, and once word gets out, then I think we'll solve our own problems without having to go to photo radar. Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, so we're moving or supporting number 7 until we get more information. Max, do you still want to support number 8?
I wish you would, Mr. Mayor. I wish council would. Thank you.
Okay, well, Max is suggesting number 7 and 8, and Stephen file the balance. So mover and seconder for that, please.
Move it.
Moved by Moore, seconder,
I'll second it.
Cerna, all in favor.
Counselor Widner,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Cerna,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Glinski,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Jiguer,
Yes,
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. Okay, what we got now?
I've got
Other
something for business.
Other business.
Yeah, I've got something if I could.
Mark, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was informed with regards to the last council closed session agenda. I apparently made an inadvertent error of the conduct code by contacting one of the people involved in the human resources concern by asking them for clarification about an issue. I was trying to get all the information I could before passing judgment, but now I realize I should have asked for an opinion first. I take my position very seriously and apologize for the misstep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Anything else under other business?
I got a comment.
Rick?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mark, sorry, Counselor Widner, I understand that you wanted all the background information and knowledge that you could. And I preached this at the last meeting. I don't think that our protocol in that particular situation did us any favors to make a decision like that. Nothing is documented. The letters that were sent out supposedly were just general mail and not registered mail. And I think to avoid that situation, we need to change things so that this situation doesn't come up again where you as a counselor or any of us have to dig around and try to find out on our own exactly what's going on. That everything would be laid out in front of you and say, yep, there you go. And you can look at it and say, oh yeah, we did this, we did that, we did this. So I'm wondering, has our protocol changed in that regard, or are we still following the same thing?
Michelle, you want to comment?
Yes, your worship. I can indicate that there has been direction given to staff that instead of sending such types of sensitive mail by direct mail, that it be sent by registered mail in the future to ensure that all parties have received it in a timely fashion. With respect to some of the other concerns, we're council members. I just want to emphasize this. We're council members have any questions or concerns about any staff report, whether in open session or in closed session, I would strongly encourage members of council to contact staff directly to seek clarification rather than having to seek clarification from other individuals. So if there were questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me at any point in time, and I can assist in obtaining that information for you rather than having to necessarily have to go to external parties. If for whatever reason I'm not able to, then of course we can work together to get that information from external parties.
And that's fine. But like one of the things I had mentioned before was that if somebody's talking to somebody else and it's in a disciplinary way, that I think it should be documented and both of them sign it. Not that it's he said, she said type thing. And I would just like to see that put in place so that then there's no questions for counselors to ask and no questions about any other parties. And I would love to see that put in place as part of our procedure.
We'll take that under advisement, your worship. We haven't adjusted our policy at this point in time, but I certainly will look into it.
Okay, thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
Anything else under other business? We just have one bylaw, and this is in the ATV club. This is just a housekeeping, Michelle.
Sorry, your worship. Yes, council will recall that back late last fall, you had agreed to extend the agreement to allow Talbot Trails ATV Club to use Malahide roadways to extend their trail network. But it did require a formal agreement with the organization. So once council had agreed to extend their agreement, then we needed to have them sign. This is the final document that is just the authorizing the execution of that document on behalf of the township.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. Questions for Michelle on the bylaw? All right, we haven't had one comment or any negative literature or anything about the Talbot Trail ATV Club. They've seemed to be cooperating exactly as we anticipated they would have.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, if I might add,
Rick.
they have a lot of trails extensively here on the Anger Road farm, my mom's farm, and they're just the most pleasant, nicest, cautious people you could ever imagine. I keep saying, Andy Reagan's got a 700cc ATV, and I don't think he's ever kicked it out of second gear.
Yeah.
They don't go wild. They're just, and it's more of a nature tour for them, and they're really good. So anytime they want anything from us, I'm more than happy to back them.
Okay, good to hear, Rick. Mover and seconder bylaw number 2114 being a bylaw to enter an agreement with the Talbot Trail ATV Club, Inc. to ensure the use of the off-road vehicles within the township of Malahide is orderly and lawful, be given a first, second, third reading, properly signed and sealed.
I'll move it.
Moved by Cerna,
I'll
seconded
second it.
by Lewis. All in favor?
Councillor Widner,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Cerna,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Galinsky,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jager,
Yes,
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. We have bylaws, nothing for closed session. Mover and seconder bylaw number 21-13 being a confirmatory bylaw to be given a first, second, third reading, properly signed and sealed.
Move it.
Moved by Moore, seconder
Second it.
Lewis, all in favor?
Councillor Widner,
Yes.
Councillor Moore,
Yes.
Councillor Cerna,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Galinsky, Deputy Mayor Jager,
yes.
Mayor Manel,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. And finally, council adjourned this meeting at 8:20 to meet again on February 18th at 7:30. Galinsky and Widner, all in favor?
Councillor Widner?
Yeah.
Councillor Moore?
Yes.
Councillor Cerna?
Yep.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Galinsky? Deputy Mayor Jager?
Yes.
Mayor Manel?
Yes,
Carried.
thank you. Okay, we're all done, folks. Thank you for joining us and stay safe.
Good night, all.
Storm tonight.
Hey, stay safe.
Night.
Yep. Take care, guys.